Strategic failure here, and we are back again with Europa Universalis V version 1.0.9 and some ridiculous flickering of a tooltip as we continue with the adventures of Bambara. Okay, so last time we'd been building our economy, we'd been building our independence movement. Okay, and so here we are with a review of our independence movement and just seeing where we are with that. We had quite a few members. We are not quite strong enough to... maybe we are quite strong enough to take on the Malians. Who knows? I'd like to be a bit stronger. But unfortunately, Mali declared war upon the minor tribe of Benomen, which of course... then means our independence movement gets disbanded. I don't want to press the Rally the Movement button. I can't declare war anyway because I am now in a war with Mali fighting somebody else. So this isn't the best situation. All that work we put into our independence movement is gone because they declared war. So that's a bit useless really, a bit frustrating. A great way of getting around it, if you have an independence movement forming against you, just go to war with one little tiny county. And eventually Mali won, because there's quite a lot of them. We did absolutely no help whatsoever there, and we are then so loyal we cannot start a new independence movement, which is very frustrating. Okay, we did decide to insult Mali to see if that helped, and... it didn't really. It did not help that we had insulted Mali. We'd reduced our loyalty there to about 57%. And there's not much else we can do at the moment, I think, to change that. So we might just have to carry on building our economy, which was our strategy last time, just to get a bit stronger. We end up with a regency because our guy died before our heir was ready, because... yeah, that was unfortunate. This comes up in front of why our guy died, so we don't know quite why our guy died, but he did. Oh, there we go. He was just dying and useless. Okay. So, my plan here was to try and assassinate the king of Mali, because I thought that's probably going to irritate them. So let's make an attempt at that. And yep, we assassinated the king of Mali. So... that's very useful. I've realised later on this was a massive mistake. If you look at my improving diplomatic reputation over there on the right, suddenly that's like down at -18. We don't have any diplomatic reputation. Mali declared yet another war. In fact, Dagobon declared war on Mali the other way round. So, yeah, I'm not sure quite why they did that, because they are tiny and Mali has all these vassals and is massive, and naturally they lost. And, yeah, don't understand quite why they did that. It was kind of pointless. We decided to crown the regent because I was just a bit fed up with having a regency. So we thought that was a good idea. And also we didn't really want to lose the stability. At this time, Diafranul decides to declare war on Mali. Now... yeah, there's some tiny nation there up on the left. Again, oh, no, they lost. Yep. They weren't getting anywhere. That was fairly pointless of them. And then there's another one, Old Manding, which I think was part of Mali, has declared its independence. And this one, they put up slightly more of a fight. But, yeah, it was 15,000 against about 3,000. And, yeah, I think there maybe they might have been winning, but nope. Oh, and then Carter, which I think was another bit of Mali, has decided to declare its independence, but no, they lost very quickly. And lost all of everything they had, so that was fairly pointless. And Old Manding is eventually going to lose, there we go. However, they do end up with like a little bit left. Just on the right there below Bambara. So I'm not sure quite what happened there. That seemed to work for them. They had ended up with at least part of a nation. So we're going to do some more economy, because we always want to do economy. And then Bonnerman declared war on Mali. This seems to be a theme. It's just like, let's just declare war on Mali and lose. Yep. There they are down there, just south of Ouagadougou. They have nobody left already. So, yeah, I don't think... nope, they lost as well. Then I decided to do some research. Right, we're going to do... Here, I think we decided to do all the research we possibly could. Being so far away from Europe here, we are not going to get any institutions. So, let's just do lots of research. And then not do any after that at all, because we're not going to get any institutions for a long time until they gradually either wind their weights down or the colonial nations turn up. There's another sort of rebellion going on against Mali. I didn't seem to get told that one was happening, but there's Kita, and they're going to lose. We've got a new count. I lost track of quite why I got new counts sometimes. It was like the previous one did not die. And we restarted our independence movement. And we decided to try and get some more people into our independence movement. But nobody was interested because, and I hadn't quite realised that at this point, our diplomatic reputation was trashed by the fact that we assassinated the King of Mali. So that was a big mistake we made there. We wasted a lot of time about that. And we can see here that the diplomatic reputation of Bambara is giving minus 55 here. Minus 53-ish. Yep, we can do our diplomatic endeavours, but it's not really helping. We're still down at like minus 14 because we assassinated the ruler there, so he's giving us minus 25. That was a bad idea. There was another war. The Count of Niani decided this was another bit of Mali declaring its independence. And of course, then our independence movement disbands because there's a war going on. So that was, again, entirely pointless. I don't think we even invited anybody to it that time. Man decides to join in. And we end up with a union with Bambuk. Because we're Bambara, we should join Bambuk. Yes, so that's useful. And yep, then I'm not sure who we're showing disloyalty with, but yep, Niani loses, but there's still a bit of it left there. In fact, wasn't that old manding earlier? And then the county has also declared war. I don't even know where they are. Yep, they didn't last very long. There was like one bit of them. So I was thinking at this point, I was looking at markets and thinking we don't have a lot of market access there. We're sort of on the edge of the Niani market. And so I thought I'd make my own one, Jenny. And that took us a while. And then we established seniority in the Bambara and Bambukun Union. I think I might just refer to that as the Bam Bam Union. And yeah, we then ended up with an incompetent heir. Yes, he is what the French call les incompetents. So that was unfortunate. We then had even more unfortunate stuff. Mali, having seen how incompetent our heir was, decided to annex us. Which was... yeah, well, that's game over when that happens. So, in a bit of a predicament here. We are loyal enough to get annexed. So, yeah, we can try and insult them again. You know, insult their mothers and call them a hamster or whatever. But this is a real problem. Yeah. We did actually manage to do enough to become disloyal. For now, which kind of put a hold on that. You know, we're down to 40% loyalty, so they cannot annex us while we're disloyal. But we didn't have a lot of control over that. And then the county of Daguerreotypes declared a war. They managed to actually conquer one of my cities. They took Segu, which was part of Bambara. That was mean of them. So this was another independence war. And... yeah, I was a bit upset by that. I still wasn't going to bother to actually help Mali do anything about it because they've got enough troops and they'll take it back for me. But I was slightly upset by that. But we can see there 23,000 versus 0. Oh look, they lost. There we go. Now this had a bad effect on us because now where we got dragged into that war, we are now even more loyal. We have 80% loyalty, and it's like, yeah, well, we are stuffed by that. So we really have no choice but to resist annexation and declare war, and that's probably not going to end well for us. I waited a bit longer, and I think I was trying to do something with that parliament. I'm not entirely sure what. But I thought we would raise. I think I wanted some more money, and what I should have done with that parliament was, of course, was to improve my levies. So that was a bit of a mistake there as well. But we did spend some money, and we did raise some mercenaries to help us in the upcoming battle for our independence, or at least battle for our existence. And this game and this whole series lasting more than 2 videos. Which would have been slightly embarrassing. Could still be slightly embarrassing. How do we know? We haven't got there yet. Right. At this point I thought, well, it's all or nothing, so let's take out as many loans as we possibly can. And so here we are taking out every single loan that our estates will give us. Because we've got one lot of mercenaries, we might as well get another lot. I really don't think it's going to help a great deal. Mercenaries don't provide huge numbers, but yeah, we're not going to click OK many times to get rid of all the loans. There they go. Yeah, we're now at 1,300. We have absolutely not entirely absolutely trashed our economy. We still somehow simply making some money, but we're going to hire some mercenaries. We've got the Tadmeka Raiders coming already, and then Captain Parr there. It's going to cost another 900, and we're going to send him in and put up some sort of defence here against Mali. It may not help at all, but we can try. So we are still being annexed, and our economy is trashed. Let's do it. Of course, this is going to cost us stability because we have fantastic relations with Mali, which is really unfortunate. So let's raise our levies, and let's hope we survive. We're going to ask Bambuk for money. They are fighting us, which is slightly weird. We are in a union with them, but we can't drag them into the war because they're a vassal of Mali, and so it's not going to work. That's just confusing because it's like, well, who are you signing with here? So unfortunately Bambuk is fighting for the Malians despite being in a union with us. So we managed to capture these tiny little provinces that sit in the middle of our country. And if we do become independent, to be fair, that's probably the first ones that are going. And the opposing team managed to take one of our cities up the top there. And so we think, right, we're probably going to, after we've liberated Dia, we are going to go up there and we are going to get that back. And there's probably enough troops there. We can take out some of these smaller troops. So here's our first battle. And let's do some research. Perfect time for some research to turn up. Absolutely no use to us whatsoever. We're going to try and win this battle. I think we should beat these few troops up there. There we go. We won the Battle of Safara, and our general there got a bonus. But you can see here there are 7,000 of us and 25,000 of them. I do not think this is going to work. Like, if we can hang it out and we can drag the war score up a bit. But we won a few battles here, just taking up these small troops that were coming down from the north. And we went to take back, that was rude, enslaving our people, we went to take back Bambara. And that didn't take too long. It looked great, excellent, we're doing well here. And then I thought, well, we'll go down and attack them, or we'll just see what's going on, maybe them. Yeah, there's 7,000 of us and only 2,000 of them. And then at some point, I really did make the mistake of zooming out. people kept being, yeah, I zoomed out and was like, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. Look how many troops they have there. There's about at least 18,000 on the field just there to our 7. So we can make a valiant attempt to recapture our cities, and we shall do that. They took back the 2 tiny provinces that sat in the middle of my country. And yeah, things were not looking great at this point. As you can see down there on the left-hand side, they've got 13,000 troops. They came up with 8. And despite the disadvantage they've got there, we lost. And that took away 21 war score. And they took Sango as well. And look, I'm down to 3,000 troops now. This is looking like it's going to end bad. I'm sure that rearranging of the troops is going to make a huge difference. And look at them now. They're going to start with 2,000. And they're going to bundle in with another 9,000 troops there. It's just not going to happen. Yep, they won. We end up charging down here until they, and then they stood for peace. And I thought, this was it. This is game over. Nothing's going to, that looks like my entire country they're going to take. Yeah, so they hadn't occupied everything, because I was a bit suspicious. I thought, maybe. And so I was all ready for the game over screen. All ready for the game over screen now. I don't know why. Just need to press that button. Press that button. But we have survived. They did not take everything. So by declaring war, we've had a better result than if they just annexed us. We are down to about 4 tiny provinces, but we live. So this is... yeah, great. And then somebody else. Wasn't that just a bit of us? Yes. Yeah, anyway. More wars. And of course we are still a vassal of Mali. It's just they haven't conquered all of us yet. As you can see, our union is having issues. And we were starting to have financial issues here. Our economy was absolutely trashed from where we'd taken out all those loans and paid for all those mercenaries. And I think at this point my strategy was actually to go bankrupt, because things were just looking bad. So it turned down all the sliders there. We have no army. I was thinking, do I turn the minting right up? And I thought, maybe not yet. I think it might make I was hoping things might recover a little bit. I didn't want to annoy the estates, because if we had a rebellion, there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. So yeah, looked at the market. That's also fairly pathetic. It's still our market though. Yeah, we had a slightly more intelligent child come up with that. I don't know what happened to the slow, incompetent heir. It's like, I seem to get new heirs sometimes, and it's just, I don't notice that somebody's died or whatever. Okay, so yeah, looking at the economy, you can see that it's trashed. I kept taking out the loans, trying to force it to get me to go bankrupt. We managed to end up with a regency again. That was less than helpful. Yeah, so he was suddenly ill and died. So we are at risk of bankruptcy, saying by September we will be bankrupt. And then we kept going. And we kept going. And this is now October 28, and we are not bankrupt. We kept going, and it kept just earning enough just to not go bankrupt. Our estates and our economy grew just enough. So I thought I'll take out all the loans and see if that's going to help. And still, May 29, we're still not gone bankrupt. I'm not sure quite what my logic here was intending. I thought maybe we could actually come back. I thought, well, if we're not going to go bankrupt, maybe we can get the money. We don't have any rebels coming yet. We shall trash things a bit more with some inflation. I don't know what the point was of turning them down. But I thought, let's try and turn our taxes up as much as we can. We weren't getting any more from them. They were already quite happy. And the nobles as well were giving us a pathetic little amount. And yeah, so yeah, then we got this one came up, and this was it. This was the moment. I thought, great, if we lose 105 ducats, we are going bankrupt. And then that guy died with the shock of bankruptcy, and there we are. So we have gone bankrupt, which was actually to our advantage. Our situation was so poor that it really didn't matter to have minus 24 stability. Our legitimacy is still at 50. I don't care about prestige. So actually, us being bankrupt wasn't the worst thing. So I thought we'll sort out our economy now. We'll sort the taxes out, sort the minting out. Parliament have decided to run again, and the plan here was just to gradually bring things back. So we don't want to lose too much legitimacy because we'll end up with a succession crisis on our hands. We'll do some corruption, and that will get us a bit more. And we didn't actually have any debt to pay off. So we gained a casus belli back on Bambook, but not that we could declare war on them because we are a vassal, so I wasn't entirely sure what the point of that was. So we went back to just building up our economy and doing what we were doing before, really. And then waiting to see what happened. We got yet another new count. But, I really didn't see what happened to Incompetent Guy. There's some other war going on here. I gave up showing you all the wars. Tagmekan decided to start an independence movement and tell me about it. So I thought, they're up there somewhere. They're not going to be very helpful. They're a bit isolated, so I don't think we joined that. I thought about it again. Look at that. They've got a potential of 63 troops compared to the potential of 6,232. I'm not thinking they're going to get very far. But I think I was wondering, my loyalty is absolutely plummeted. It's down to 20%. And I was thinking, if I joined that, would we get other nations joining? And Mali had had unsupported used diplomatic capacity, which was really affecting its diplomatic situation. It was in a very poor diplomatic situation, Mali, at this point. I don't know quite why the AI had sort of put them in that position. In fact, I think I even looked, if you go and look at all their vassals are incredibly disloyal. 0. And I saw an opportunity here because, this isn't looking good for Mali. If we got an organised independent movement going, we might get somewhere here, because if they declare war on anybody, they're not going to get any of their vassals involved. I don't think we could start our own independence movement, so we had to just join the one that was there. But then I couldn't do anything from within it. I could just leave. I couldn't invite anybody else. So that wasn't maybe the most helpful situation. So actually what we really wanted them to do was start a war, or somebody else to start a war, because we couldn't really, I think I looked at what was going on with Bambook, and we couldn't invite anybody else. So, hang on, that's us, isn't it? The county of Bambara declared war upon the Mali Empire. Well, I can assure you we did not. But over here on the left, we have Imbla, the county of Bambara, and on the right, that's us, the county of Bambara. So that's not at all confusing. And there goes the independence movement, and they took that other Bambara, which is probably a good thing. We don't really want two of us. It's bad enough. We're being useless enough with just the one of us. So that having happened, I was like, great, I can start a new independence movement, and we're going to really go for it here. We know everybody is so disloyal, even after that war. People were not happy, and we can invite Colin Kotu up there, and somehow we can sort of give things the option that suggests we might be able to invite Mali to its own independence movement, which perhaps wouldn't be a great thing. So we whacked up the diplomatic spending. We were still really suffering with this malice. If you look where it says improving diplomatic relations, it's still minus 14. So we were suffering that for what feels like years ago now. Killing the king of Mali, and that was a bad idea. And you can see with all those red crosses and not helping. Some of us did. We managed to improve our relationship with enough people. We got Sokoto, which isn't actually one of Mali's vassals, but will be very helpful. And that was certainly going to improve the situation. We've got Fezzan, but it seems to think we could. I think they're probably a bit far away. Yeah, I think up there is a bit unnecessary. And we could get the Kanem Empire and maybe even Ouagadougou. That would be very helpful. We did get Tatameka. And that was the plan. Oh, we got the Age of Discovery, and I went with administrative focus again. I'm not sure whether that's the right thing. I don't know what that is. We got the Kanem Empire. They have joined our independence movement. That's fantastic. And at this point, it's starting to see our land comparisons are looking quite good there. The Bambam Union reformed. And then they were threatening to leave, which is odd. Like, I didn't do much with that here. They'd probably be bigger and stronger than me, so I wasn't going to do anything like do seniority or anything like that. But they will join the independence movement now, as will Gabura. So we're gradually, and Sagana, and Zaga. So we got more and more people joining this movement. And that was what we worked on. We just improved. Now, at this point, we had actually lost that malice. You see, suddenly we've got lots and lots of green ticks, but not enough diplomats. And as we gained those diplomats, we managed to invite even more people. We lost the malice for having assassinated the King of Mali. And if you look now, all those green places, we had 28,000 troops to their 6, it said there. I'm not sure that was very accurate. Yeah, so things were looking quite good. There's a lot of us just waiting out just for more diplomats. Invite as many people as possible. I was waiting for a war to be declared at some point here. But I had a feeling this time this might work. We wanted Ouagadougou. That would make a big difference. They're going to have a lot of troops, and eventually we persuaded them to join us. And at that point, I think we decided, look, we have enough troops now. Now, interestingly, these numbers for land comparison were slightly weaker than them. But actually, when we were back on the previous screen, it said we were far, far stronger. Look at that there. It's, lots of green and not so much green. And I'd actually held the tooltip there long enough, you'd have seen. So I'm not sure where that was coming from. I don't know whether it's counting all us vassals, even though we're going to be fighting against them. But here you could see 40,000 to about 7,000. I think Mali do end up with more than that when we finally press this button. Not going to give you any spoilers. We have got Ouagadougou, and we just need to once again wait for diplomats. I don't really see why you need to declare war. Just do it. And here we go. We have declared war on the Mali Empire, and all that disgusting beige has become a rainbow of rebellion. 17 members against Mali and some of its vassals, the ones that were left, that were still interested. Ouagadougou has joined in there, which was probably the most important one. I think they were the strongest. And at the moment we haven't raised levies here, so this isn't showing us anything helpful other than there's quite a lot more of us than there in terms of numbers of countries. We raise our levies, all 2,000 of them. And I did have some money at this point, so I invested in some mercenaries as well. So we invested in some mercenaries as well. And this looked like it could be fairly positive. We finally managed to declare this independence war after all this time. And we had our first battle. And unfortunately, allies were going to turn up. Well, allies going to get there in time, and typically they did not. So we lost that first battle, which was not the best. And we lost a few battles, but over there, just coming over from Sokoto, you can see there's about 12,000 troops. They were actually probably stronger than Ouagadougou in the end. They look like they're going to be a big help, don't they? Those 12,000 troops, when they wander across the desert to get there. As you can see, my allies are losing battles left, right and centre. Somehow that's not demolishing our war score too much. Yeah, so here we go. I think we're going to leave this here, and in the next episode you will find out whether we win the battle for independence and whether we get to proceed any further with this. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe. This is still a relatively new channel, so all subscriptions are appreciated, and anything to encourage me to keep making these videos is going to be great. And we shall carry on with this war next time.